here's a small part. Arguably this could be machined, but you don't really know the size of it yet. If I click on an edge, the radius down here tells me that it is just about 0.3 inches, so just over a ½ inch diameter. Okay, so very, very small part. There's some details in there. I think we could all agree that you're only going to be able to machine this thing out or create it using an electrode. How do you make this in SpaceClaim? Well, let's jump right into it. What I first might do, start by putting a reference plane in somewhere. Now, there's the geometry I'll use in a moment to start chopping up my electrode I'm going to make, and also these reference planes will do the same thing. This part I'm going to assume is symmetric about the axis, and there's 10 instances of those ribs. I'm not sure what you would call them. And so just copying a plane over a 10 degree or 36 degrees, that should take care of that. All right, so there's some reference planes. Now let's get started by putting our electrode in. The great thing about working in SpaceClaim, what I just love and I emphasize to people all the time is, yes, you can get precision on a model anytime, anywhere you want, but you don't have to do it necessarily at this sketch level. I'm just throwing in some kind of a primitive sketch right now. And that's it. That's all I have to do for a sketch to make this electrode. I start using the main tools of SpaceClaim to do the rest for me. You're going to see me using the pull, move, fill, combine tools quite a bit. And they're all right there at the top. I'm drawing a box around them so you can see them and watch how I am going in and out of them seamlessly. So I made that surface body. The next step would be to just start pulling on this to extract some sort of 3D data. And I can go anywhere I want. I could say, let's go ahead and take that bottom face and snap it to a face of the orange part, to a strategic location, essentially. And there's my electrode. Now, it's just a block right now. I need to start chopping it away. This is what SpaceClaim does so well with one of these major tools called Combine. It chops up bodies, right? And it gets rid of any of the excess material, puts you in a handy mode now of getting rid of excess material, as well as, chopping up the body at large. Now let's make a couple more cuts on it using those reference planes. Remember, those reference planes go right through the center of those ribs, and I basically have the bulk of the shape done for this electrode. Let me hide the body for a minute and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, there's the electrode right there. This is something that's much more machinable than the part itself. Right, so a couple modifications I want to make to it. I didn't realize I created a little bit of a sliver over here, but that's okay. I just used the third major tool called Fill to wipe some things out. Now I want to bring the model back so I know where I need to stretch some faces out. I really want to take this diameter of the green part, maybe pull on it a little bit and snap it up to another face, because I don't really want to EDM that face. That could probably be turned. So I just pull a diameter back. Now similarly, the face that I've highlighted right now, I'm going to assume that could be turned as well. And I don't want the EDM, the electrode, to touch that. Well, there is a face that's green, just right there on the back, and that happens to be touching it. So the same thing as before, I pull on a face and snap it up to another location. And I'm done. I might want to do the exact same thing over on the other side, snap a face up to another, and that's it. Now, a little tiny problem that incurred from doing that, SpaceClaim left a little excess geometry that I don't want, but there's a handy tool. And I'm going through this one a little quickly, but I'm going to come back to this split body tool in a couple more times and use it. It's actually my favorite tool in SpaceClaim because of how fast it is and the power of what it does. There's your electrode right there. Very fast, very easy to do. I didn't have to mess with sketches. I used just a couple of tools in SpaceClaim. Now, there's a couple important things with electrodes, and I'm not going to do everything on one of them to get it complete, but I just want to kind of weave in and out and show you the different capabilities on different models. Sometimes with an electrode, you need to account for the overburn. Now, a lot of CAM systems will automatically do that. You just lie about the cutter diameter, and it will account for the overburn needed. Maybe you actually want to create that in SpaceClaim. Well, you can. What I could do, let's pretend that my overburn is going to be 3/1000ths of an inch. I could say, let's just chop away one face and hog out this solid, until I'm left with a shelled body. All right, so what does that do? Where does that get me? Well, what it does is it starts to make the faces on the inside that happen to be the exact same size that I need. So I'll use a tool that was actually designed for a completely different purpose than what I'm showing you now, but it's very, very relevant across the board. It's called volume extract. See, if I basically poured concrete or put water in there and froze it, that's going to be the exact size of the electrode that I need. And so this volume extract tool, after having made a shelled body, will kick out an electrode that's 3/1000ths of an inch smaller on every face. Now, I purposefully did it on the bottom face because I'm assuming that this is maybe a 2D orbiting electrode, so in the z-axis it goes right down to where it should, and it doesn't orbit in that direction. It just orbits in the x and y. So this is at its correct location, but every other face has been offset by 3/1000ths. Now, to prove it to you, and I mentioned that I would show that cross-section view, let's do just that. Let's slice the model in half, and you can see a 3/1000ths gap along the slanted face and the vertical face too. And if I were to take that cross-section and maybe rotate it around dynamically anywhere, you're going to see that same gap no matter what. So there's a quick example of how to make an electrode. Relatively simple part, but there's time savings right here. That electrode, you can do anything you want with it. Call it your own. What I mean is if you need to make it a little bit bigger, smaller for strength, add some fastening features on it so you can attach it to your machine, you can do that right here. Maybe it's got some kind of a circle on it. Let me snap to the grid, and this is the direction in which it's going to be pushing into the model. Actually, it might be from above. Well, it doesn't matter. I could add something right here. I could move it to the top if I wanted to. At any time, merge the two together and call that my post for holding it. It's really up to you. Doesn't matter. But the geometry is your own.